Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/am I the asshole for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my thoughts and opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Top average 2342. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she's exactly like our parents, which is why her kids don't tell her anything? My oldest sister, 44 female, and I, 41 female, had a rough relationship with our parents until their deaths 23 and 20 years ago. Our parents were tough on us in all the ways they could be, and they never made us feel like we could confide in them. They'd order us to do it, and they'd say we needed to be honest, but we got punished for being honest. To clarify what I mean by that, I'll give some non-specific examples. If we were having a hard time in class and were struggling to keep up and we told our parents about it, we would be grounded for not doing well in school, for not paying attention in school, and we would be told we should be doing better and we had zero excuses. We'd get the help we needed, but we were lectured and punished so much it was easier to struggle in silence. Or if we were having trouble with an adult and we confided in our parents, it was automatically jumped on that we better be respectful, and we were grounded for speaking badly about an adult in a position of authority. Being burnt out wasn't allowed either, and asking for a break would get us punished. Our parents had rules like you must clear your plate and you couldn't ask for more food. You must ask for permission before getting a drink or a snack. And when we got older, you must ask for permission before making yourself something to eat. We had morning and evening chores and we couldn't do them all at once. They had to be done at their designated time. We didn't get out of them when we were sick either. Curfew was super early, and we weren't allowed to pick our own friends entirely. Our parents often cut off friendships for us because they didn't approve of the family, and it would be something really fucking stupid like they thought the parents were too young or the name they picked was trashy. My sister and I were relatively close thanks to that upbringing and the fact that we lost our parents when we were still pretty young ourselves. But my sister slowly became more like our parents. She was very strict with her kids, now teens and preteens, and her children's relationship is a perfect mirror of ours and our parents' relationship. While my kids are a bit younger, I've always worked on not being the same kind of parent mine were, and my relationship with my kids reflects that. My sister has commented on how open my kids are with me, and how much they talk to me in comparison to how little hers talk to her. It turned into her shitting on me and speaking bitterly about the differences in our relationships with our children every time we spoke. At one point, she accused me of doing no parenting, and I told her, no, I parent my children, but I didn't turn into our parents with my children like she did with hers. I told her that's why her kids tell her nothing, and it's history repeating itself again. She feels that was the cruelest thing I could have said to her, and maybe it was. But I see so much of our childhood in how she is with her kids, but in a less vicious way at times. Although it might be due to her husband being different, and therefore there's less to ganging up on them all the time. But I know what I said got under my sister's skin, and it's still bothering her. Am I the asshole? Sometimes the truth hurts, and you just need to be honest about it. She's actively insulting your parenting style because she can't comprehend the idea that the reason why the kids aren't talking to her is because of her actions, and not a lack of actions on the side of OP. Gotta love her low-key implying that because her kids are trusting and willing to talk to OP, that means that there's something wrong with the parenting style. She also 100% egged you on to give this kind of response by claiming that you were being a shitty parent, so she kind of asked for the cold, hard, brutal truth to be delivered to her on, well, a stone platter, I guess. I don't know. A truth delivered swiftly, like an aluminum bat to the shins. There's a common interaction from OK Professional 4499 that I want to just take a quick little peek at. Not the asshole. Make sure she knows it's the truth, and not just you lashing out over being hurt. Mention that she could go talk to a therapist to unpack those behaviors so she could do better for her kids. That it might not be too late. Maybe even suggest you two go to family counseling together so you can both learn better ways to communicate with each other and your kids. User Tasmosis85 responds, therapy doesn't always work, not if you don't believe you have a problem. User Shanish12345 responds further, OP's sister clearly sees there's a problem, she just didn't like what the problem turned out to be. Not to mention, the unfortunate truth is chances are, if she did go to therapy, she might try to be taking her kids to therapy to fix the problem. The problem being their unwillingness to actually confide in their mother. Is it the way that I'm parenting that mirrors my own parents? No, it must just be the kids. Hopefully this conversation, while she most certainly didn't like to hear the truth, it sits with her and it sinks in a little bit, and maybe she'll begin to reapproach how she's actually parenting her children, and maybe actually repair those relationships before it's, well, too late. Smelly chicken. Would I be the asshole if I put a post in my yard that could damage my neighbor's truck? My husband, 29 male, and I, 28 female, have lived in our home for over 6 years now. Our house is over 100 years old, and we've slowly been making improvements when we can. When we got married, my father-in-law gifted us landscaping for our front yard. We planned out what we wanted, talked to a landscaper, and he wanted to pay for it as a wedding present. The landscaping was completed over 3 years ago, and we were very pleased and appreciative for such a great gift. The landscaping included a much-needed retaining wall, where there was a low patch in our front yard that previously turned into a mud pit when it rained. Fast forward to last year, and our neighbors sold their house to a new owner. Almost immediately after she moved in, she made it clear that she was going to be unpleasant to live next to. In the first week or so living there, she came into our backyard and chopped the top off of our juniper bushes and threw it into our yard. The bushes were next to her garage, but clearly in our yard. It's an old neighborhood and a lot of the garages were built long after the home, so everything behind the houses is very close together. Her garage is very close to the property line, and maybe even a little bit on our property. We would have understood if she didn't like the bushes. They were looking scraggly, and landscaping for our backyard was next on our list for improvements. However, she gave no explanation, and she hadn't even introduced herself to us. I knew she did it because I could see her from my dining room window. We ended up clearing all 3 of the bushes out by her garage because they were unattractive, especially after having the top lopped off of one. About a week later, she ran over our retaining wall with her lifted truck. It damaged the wall, but her truck is so tall it did no damage to her vehicle. Again, she never talked to us about it or apologized, but I had seen her do it because I'm home all day. That summer, we had the same landscaping company do work on our backyard, so we asked them to add on a repair for the front yard retaining wall. The repair cost $100, and we paid it because we didn't want a confrontation with our neighbor. 1 week after the wall was repaired, she hit it again. Still, we had no apology from her. We're outside a lot, so we thought eventually she would approach us about it, so we gave her time. She never did. One day, I saw her walking her dog and came outside to discuss it. I just opened by saying that I wanted to talk about our retaining wall, and she responded back by saying that she didn't know how the wall was damaged. When I said I'd seen her run over it with her truck many times, she started making excuses. She said the wall is too close to her driveway and that it could have been a delivery driver or any random person who used her driveway. I stayed firm. Initially, I was just going to ask her to pay for the next repair. But I decided that since she didn't even apologize, I would ask her to reimburse us for the initial repair as well as the upcoming repair. She agreed, but said it wasn't a big deal and she couldn't make any promises she wouldn't just hit it again. The wall was repaired again yesterday, and this is the part that my husband says I would be the asshole for. I put an ornamental iron post at the edge of our wall, but completely on our side of the property. That way, it would be easier to see where the wall is, but if she hit the wall again, she would also hit the post, and it would probably damage her truck. My husband told me to take the post down. He said I was being vindictive and immature. I took it down immediately after I put it up, but I really want to prevent further damage to our property. I don't want her to hit the wall again, but if she did hit it, and our wall wasn't the only thing being damaged, I think she'd be less likely to do it again. So, would I be the asshole if I put the post back up? This could probably be answered with a question. If I hit your mailbox with my car, are you the asshole for having a mailbox that was in the way of my vehicle and damaged my vehicle, or am I the asshole for hitting your mailbox? It's on your property. I'm the one who hit it. Same goes here. If she doesn't give a shit, isn't watching where her lifted truck is going, and isn't paying attention, and is constantly causing damage, won't take accountability for it, then yeah, the iron post is good to go. Because after all, according to her, she's not the one hitting it, right? It's the delivery drivers or other people, definitely not her. So the iron post shouldn't be a concern of hers, right? After all, the iron post isn't to stop her, it's to stop the other people who are using her driveway so carelessly, right? Definitely not the asshole. Put the post back up. And also, maybe add like a lantern or something to it, just so that way it looks more decorative and it doesn't look like it's deliberately there to cause damage to her truck, just in case. Signal amount 5940. Am I the asshole for using family therapy to say what I want to my dad and his wife without punishment? I, 17 male, can't stand my dad or his wife Annie. They got married when I was 8, and a bunch of decisions they made and rules they set down for me and for my family are things that drive me crazy. My mom died, by the way, and I used to want to visit her grave and spend time with that side of my family. My dad decided seeing my family wasn't okay, because they wouldn't include my step-siblings in everything and treat them as their grandkids too. So I maybe got to see them once or twice a year if I was lucky. But because my dad still allowed minimal contact, there was fuck all my mom's family could do regarding suing for visitation with me. My dad would have needed to end all contact for that to be an option, and he was smart enough to know that. And instead of being with my family, I was forced to be with Annie's ex-in-laws, Annie's family, and not even very often my dad's side of the family. My dad and Annie didn't have much to do with dad's side, so that was shitty too because I didn't get to be with my real family. You know, the people who are actually related to me, and not just related to Annie or my step-siblings. Then, when it came to my mom's grave, it was even more bullshit. Because I most wanted to spend time there on Mother's Day and my mom's birthday. I was told no, every time, even if it wasn't those times. I was told Mother's Day was about celebrating Annie and the other moms in our lives. But we were all dragged to Annie and my dad's grandmother's graves on Mother's Day and for anniversaries and stuff. We were dragged to a bunch of graves for Annie's family members. I didn't mind so much visiting the graves of people I was related to, but I resented that Annie could visit any of her family members' graves she wanted and could make all the kids go. Though all the other kids were hers, so whatever. And I couldn't even one time visit my mom's grave. When I got old enough to go on my own, I got punished for it. I got punished a lot for pushing back against Annie's attempts to be my parent, and I have never called her my stepmom or my mom or even my family. I always called her my dad's wife, and that was the one act of rebellion I stood by. Everything else, like being rude and not listening and saying, "You're not my mom," was punished more severely, so I stopped. Some stuff still got me in trouble, like not doing a reading at Annie's brother's funeral and keeping stuff from my dad and Annie because I didn't want to tell them shit. And for leaving out Annie, my step, and my half-siblings from a digital family tree project I had to do for school. And for not telling my dad and Annie about Mother's Day/Father's Day activities that I was invited to join. They decided 11 months ago to do family therapy before... Oh, they want to use family therapy to fix you instead of actually solve problems in the family. Fun. They decided 11 months ago to do family therapy before me and Annie's oldest are out of the house because they saw things were shit. At first, I didn't want to be there, so I was quiet for 8 months. But then I decided to use it to tell them what I think of them, and of this blended family bullshit without getting into trouble. So, I've said I hate them, I've said I think their rules were dumb, I told them I didn't give a fuck about Annie's family or her dead relatives, and that none of them mean a single thing to me. I told them I would visit my mom's grave when I moved out, and I would never celebrate a single holiday with them again. I told them I don't have any respect for them, and there's still stuff they don't know because I'm not gonna tell them shit. I told them I don't consider anyone in the house my family, and my real family are now only my extended family. And I repeatedly say Annie isn't my mom, and I never loved her, or her kids, and I never appreciated her being in my life, and I don't consider her a good addition to my life. I repeat a bunch of stuff, and I find more and more ways to say all this. They're angry because, other than that, I don't work out finding ways to make it better. I told the therapist I don't want to. So, they say I'm abusing therapy in them. Am I the asshole? This is 100% them just trying to use therapy as a way to fix their child rather than actually try to, Be adults and be parents and understand what's actually causing the problems. Like, actively trying to replace an important part of OP's life. Their dead mother, and their mother's family, and also their father's family. Annie has the father just wrapped around her finger to the point where the only thing that should matter in the father's life is Annie's family, and that's it. No one else. The thing is, I doubt OP would be this resentful of his current family structure if they just allowed him to exist, and to visit his mother's grave, and to see his mother's side of the family. If Annie was an extension of the family and not an active replacement, I don't think this post would exist. I don't think family therapy would have needed to happen. But you're also not abusing family therapy. You're not abusing them. They brought you to family therapy where you're supposed to be able to express your emotions and you're supposed to be able to talk about it. You've told them what's upsetting you. You've told them why you're mad. You've told them why you don't want to participate in this family. And for some reason, the adults are putting it on you to find ways to make it better. That you don't want to work to make things better. They had pretty much your entire life to work to make things better and to make you feel like you were included in the family and that your wishes were respected, but they chose not to. And now they're shocked that you don't want to put in the effort they never bothered to in the first place. Oh no, consequences of their actions. Good luck in life, my dude. You've got this. Emma Queen. Am I the asshole for asking my colleague if she got rid of her kid yet? Sounds bad, but I will give context. My 30 female colleague, Motty, 40 female, seems to be a little too invested in my reproductive system. We're not friends inside or out of work. We occasionally engage in the exchanging of pleasantries. When I first met her about 4 years ago, she was talking about her baby nonstop and then asked me if I wanted children. I told her no, I did not. She then asked me why and said I may change my mind. I told her then I like children such as my nephew, but I have no desire to have my own and that I will not change my mind. She's made a few comments since about what a lovely mother I would make, and I either ignore her or laugh at her. Fast forward to today. I was having a conversation with another colleague about her new granddaughter and my new niece. We were talking about the funny things that babies do. Motty inserts herself in our conversation and says to me, "Have you decided to have a baby yet?" This annoyed me because, firstly, it's none of her business and I've already told her I don't want them. Also, stay out of a conversation that you're not part of. I simply said, "No. Have you decided to get rid of your daughter yet?" She looked stunned and then got up and left the office for a bit. She came back moody and didn't speak to anyone. A couple of my colleagues said to me that I was harsh, but my boss and a couple of others said it was a fair reply. So, wise users of Reddit, don't give them that kind of credit, it goes straight to their head. Give me your opinions. Was I the asshole here? Okay, if this was unprompted and you just walked up to your coworker who just had a child and was just like, "Hey, have you gotten rid of that baby yet?" Yeah, you'd be the asshole. But in this case, you have someone who's constantly asking you something that you've made very clear is something you will never do. And she keeps asking, "Have you decided to have a baby yet?" As if it was something that you're currently still actively trying to decide. You have firmly stated that you will not change your mind, but she's constantly approaching it as, "Have you decided on this yet?" As if there's room for a decision to be made. It's your choice. It's how you want to live your life, but she's constantly bringing it up, constantly bringing it into the picture, and constantly asking you the same question over and over again, and being rude about it. So you flipped it. She's asking you a question that the answer has always been no, and you will never even consider. So why don't you ask her a question that she would never even consider, and the answer will always be no? Asshole or not, you've put a stop to this line of questioning. She's never going to ask you this question again. Also, if your boss is on your side, then you're 100% in the clear. And honestly, if she continues to ask after this incident, maybe go to HR at that point. Routine Sky 1292. Am I the asshole for not letting it go when my sister-in-law's boyfriend told me, "Let's get one thing clear, I don't need to justify my actions to you"? This situation happened back in May of 2025, so keep that in mind, but has been brought up again, so hence the post. I will be happy if at least one person reads all of this and gives advice. Me, 21 female, Had been with my fiance, 25 male, for about 3 years when the situation occurred. I genuinely felt like I had created good relationships with his immediate family. His mom, his dad, his sister, 26, etc. I am someone who each of these people have heavily relied on to help with doing their taxes, keep their car insurances up to date, help with school assignments, both the mom and sister were in school, etc. I never said no to any request for need. The time came that my fiance and I were going to move states for our jobs. When we were about to move, my sister-in-law, 26 female, introduced us to her new boyfriend of 1 week at the time. A male. 40s male. The age gap worried me for the reason that my parents had an identical age gap, and it is precisely what tore them apart over time. But I kept that opinion to myself and supported their relationship. When we met him, I liked the guy. Thought he had a good sense of humor and seemed nice. Around 4 months later, I was shocked when things went sideways. There's a mini situation that happened with him before this one. Let me know in the comments if you want me to explain it. My mother-in-law had asked me to help her find a new laptop, so I FaceTimed her and we talked for around an hour, going over pricing and options. Finally, we settled on the 2025 MacBook Air M4. She was only going to use it for browsing, notes, and light schoolwork, so I recommended the one with the standard storage and RAM. This would save her close to $500 on a computer she is already paying $1,000 for, especially because I share 2 terabytes of iCloud storage with her that I personally pay for. So we went with that option, and I ordered it. A few days later, she's talking on the phone with my fiance when she asks him to pass the phone for her to tell me something. She tells me that my sister-in-law's boyfriend's the laptop I picked was an older 2024 model, which isn't true. Based on that, he canceled the order I had placed and took her to buy a different one, which ended up being essentially the same laptop, just with more RAM and storage, so she spent more money for no real reason. I wasn't initially angry, but more annoyed because I had done the work and spent the time with my mother-in-law to arrive at that choice. Also, he said he canceled it because it was an old model. However, I had the order confirmation with the model number to prove that wasn't the case. So to me, it was a big misunderstanding that led to my mother-in-law paying $1,500 for the computer instead of $1,000. However, she got more RAM and storage that she won't need. On her technological ability, she will probably only use about 10% of the computer's capabilities in the first place. So the extra money felt wasteful. And she's not rich. So I decided, since he's someone in the family, I would reach out to him in a text to let him know there must have been a misunderstanding because the one I ordered is the same one he took her to get, and to ask that in the future, if it's something that I already helped with, to please reach out to me so we can chat to avoid misunderstandings. He responded with some computer specs, and I just responded with proof that what I ordered was correct. Once I sent the proof, he responded with, "Let's get one thing clear. I don't need to justify my actions to you. If you have a problem with the decision, you can take it up with mother-in-law." My jaw hit the floor. I was not expecting that type of reply and honestly felt disrespected. I replied saying that I had come to him with a respectful tone, so I would like the same back from him, and even clarified that I was not asking him to justify anything, just wanted to avoid future misunderstandings. He left that message undelivered and refused to address it. This is an edit for context that was earlier in the post, but it included mentions of what seemed to be the boyfriend, so I moved it down here. This is in regards to her helping with taxes, car insurance up to date, and school assignments, etc. Edit for context for anyone not understanding me helping out, etc. Please read. You have to keep in mind that my fiance's family is Hispanic and I am the only person who is fluent in English. None were born in the US, only me. Not even my fiance is fluent, so it was natural for them to ask me for help and lean on me for everything. And I'm not great at saying no, especially to people I think care about me. So I took on more and more. I don't care that he helped. In fact, I wish she got more help from others, like her other kids, so I wouldn't be the go-to person she asks, and so I wouldn't feel bad saying no, because if I say no, she has no one to help her. I'm happy she has someone other than me to help because I'm not doing it anymore after everything. Now, further edits. Edit. And this is the same guy who months before called me while I was at work to yell at me because the Airbnb I booked for 8 people, including himself for my mother-in-law's birthday, did not allow pets. It was free for everyone, by the way. I paid it all. I did not even know he had a pet and just assumed at his age he knew someone to watch his pets or would hire someone to swing by. It was one night. So he yelled at me while at work and asked me to justify that choice, when it was a free stay for him. How would I know? Little did I know, he immediately went to my sister-in-law, mother-in-law, and father-in-law to complain about my texts. He twisted it to fit his agenda to make it seem as if I wanted him to give me the rundown every time he does anything. I found this out when I received a text later that some night from my mother-in-law, who texted me saying I did not have to get upset and go off on him. Never did that, but I replied saying I did not know what she meant. In fact, that I felt disrespected by him. But at that point, she wouldn't hear me. My fiance tried to address it with her and his sister, but they defended him, said his messages weren't disrespectful, and questioned why I even texted him in the first place. She also said we were misunderstanding his tone. All this while I have the receipts. I feel like I'm going crazy. Am I in the wrong? Was he not disrespectful? Should I let it go? Also, there is more that happened after. Edit for what happened after. Okay, so basically after the situation, my fiance reached out directly to him to say, like, my intentions weren't to get him to justify anything, and that the comment he made was overly aggressive and not okay. That message was left undelivered. 6 months went by, and there were crickets. No wanting to reach out for birthdays, no nothing. No effort to clear the air. But the time came for my mother-in-law's graduation from nursing school. I wasn't going to let that stop us from going, and decided to go and be cordial and engage in group settings, but not directly to him. We went, and when he approached, we are all Hispanic, he came and partially wrapped me in a hug and went to kiss my cheek. I said, no thank you, quietly, not loudly, because to be honest, I did not feel like being touched and kissed by someone who literally disrespected me in the last thing he ever said to me and left it like that for 6 months. This was not witnessed by anyone. I did not want to cause a scene or anything. I came to find out at the end of our trip, literally at the airport from my text, my mother-in-law sent to my fiance that he had gone to my father-in-law and told him that I did not accept his hug and kiss. From there, my father-in-law told mother-in-law. The message my mother-in-law sent my fiance was basically that I was not being mature and that obviously him coming to hug me was him being the bigger person or something. The message hurt because it was intended to be behind my back, but my fiance shared it with me. If anything, I knew I was going to be uncomfortable, and I came anyways, and did not cause an issue. But now, I'm the issue again because I didn't want to be kissed. In response to the whole thing, my family scheduled a call with him. On that call, it lasted 5 minutes. He wasn't letting my fiance talk at all, so my fiance asked if he could speak on each point he was trying to make because he won't be able to if he keeps going and won't let him. And he responded that then he should get a pen and paper and take notes if he can't keep up. So my fiance responded that the comment is a, oh, Jesus, zoqueta, no, zoquetada, zoquetada, zoquetada. Sorry, it's been a while since I've explored the Spanish alphabet. In Spanish, not sure the translation. And the dude hung up and said to call him back when he's man enough. After that, my fiance said he isn't speaking to him because there's no speaking to someone who's so cool talking like that. So, that's the most recent thing. I just want to add this quick little pretense here. What I'm about to say does not apply to all age gap relationships, just specifically to this guy. Alright, so here's my opinion. He's a 40-year-old loser who doesn't actually have a place in this world, doesn't actually have a family to attach himself to, and doesn't have friends his age or someone his age to actually date, all because of his charming personality. So he latched onto someone 14 years his younger who he could sell that, oh, you're so mature for your age, oh, we're perfect together, you're not like the other girls your age. And now he's been able to insert himself into the family and put himself into a position of authority so that way the parents latch onto him and take his word, because after all, he's 40 years old. He's a mature man, so he knows what he's talking about more than some 21-year-old ditzy, obviously. So he pushes his weight around, he pushes his experience around, he pushes his age around. He purposely obfuscates his intentions and makes it so that way it seems that he's not the instigator, but instead, he's the pacifist. He's just trying to do what's right. He's not instigating, he's always trying to be cordial and kind. And because he's older, he's taken more seriously. His parasitic style of existing will catch up with him eventually. As unfortunate as it is, all OP can really do at this point is just to take a step back and watch. Watch as he grabs a saw and takes it to a load-bearing beam, insisting that he knows what he's doing. Give it time, his house of cards will collapse. I mean, hell, he volunteered to be their helper, so let him. And also, mother-in-law is trusting him, someone who's new to the family, over you. So let her. Also, I'll keep this short because the first take of this was about 3 minutes long, so I'll just break it down. The MacBook thing? Bullshit, 100% so. When you go to order a new MacBook Air or any kind of Apple device and you have the ability to spec out the hardware, it's going to be the newest model because it's going to be either asked and sent to the factory to be produced, or they're going to check with the local Apple stores to see if they have something in stock. You would have to specifically go out of your way to find something that would be the previous model and go for either a certified pre-owned or just something that would be cheaper and out of the way. If you're speccing it out and building it, it's going to be the current model year. So it's bullshit for him to claim that, oh, well, you got a 2024, so I canceled it and specced it out with stuff that she'll never need. She's just doing basic application stuff. She's not going to need extra RAM or extra storage. Like, that's just not going to be something that'll be needed. Most people who are doing classic workflows of just word processing, PowerPoint, spreadsheets, school assignments, that kind of stuff, 16 to 24 gigabytes of RAM on a Mac, that's more than enough. But he's just waving his dick around hoping to seem more important and hoping to have more influence. At the cost of the mother-in-law's checkbook. Just gross. Oh god, we're in the outro. I promised myself I wouldn't cry seeing you off, but here we are. Anyways, don't forget, gamer subs, use code OZ at checkout. Been kind of saying this more often now, but did you know that if you use code OZ at checkout and you purchase a tub from another creator, you actually support 2 creators at once? Fun little fact there, in case you didn't hear the previous 2 days where I mentioned that. But yeah, like if you go and you purchase, let's say, Rad Sickness by Russian Badger, and you use code OZ at checkout, both Russian Badger and I actually get supported from that sale. Fun fact, by the way. Also, I'm really hoping that today is actually a 30-minute video, because I always record the outros first, by the way. It's kind of a way for me to get myself amped up and ready to go. It's an Am I the Asshole video, so I have more control over when the video will actually stop and when I'll be able to walk away. And, you know, I'm just kind of hoping that I don't, like, blink and suddenly I've got 50 fucking minutes of audio to record and edit and work on. Because I do that a little too often now, and I'm trying not to, because a majority of you said you prefer videos between the 20 to 30 to, you know, maybe a little bit higher than 30-minute range, and then I proceeded to do, like, several days in a row that are just 40-plus, 50-plus minute videos. So that's my bad, fam. I didn't mean to do that. I promise. Anyways, I'll catch y'all next time.